The Marcos administration has declared a war against online sexual exploitation of children. Now, how should the government and the community set the battle in motion? Joining us now is ChildFund PH advocacy specialist, Allan Nuñez. Good evening, Allan.
Hi, good evening.
So let us talk about this advocacy of yours. There are two new laws against online sexual exploitation of children that were passed. Now, how optimistic are you that this will be implemented properly?
We are very optimistic. In fact, we are very much involved in the coming up of the implementing rules and regulations. We are helping the government come up with the implementing rules and regulations for that particular new anti-OSEC or OSAIC law.
Yes, well, like you said, Child Fund wants to complement the government's fight in this and to support this fight. But the government cannot fight this alone. So groups and individuals from various sectors need to work together. Now, tell me, what are these sectors and what work is needed?
The work needed for this to be done is actually, let me first get you back to where we started. We launched the campaign Shut Down OSAIC in 2019. That is where we bring together different actors and organizations, particularly the members of the Child Rights Network, or CRN. CRN is the largest alliance of organizations and agencies pushing for important child rights legislation in the country. So that particular campaign resulted in the amplified messaging that eventually led to the passage of that particular law, the RA 11930.
Yes, and now parents and family members themselves would need to, well, it's being reported that they themselves facilitate the abuse against their children. Tell us how the state and other concerned groups are working to save victims from family-based trafficking.
Like here, we at Child Fund, we work at different levels. Like for example, we at the national level, we work with, like I mentioned a while ago, with the Child Rights Network, and we work closely with our fellow CRN members to influence policymakers and decision makers in the government and policies, invest resources and implement programs in preventing the online sexual abuse and exploitation of children. We also work with different government agencies to assess the gaps and identify where we can uniquely contribute to the overall fight against the OSAIC. And at the community level, we increase public discourse on the issue so we can get more allies and champions. We also capacitate our partner media on how to ethically report cases and stories of OSAIC. And then we also partner with the private sector to increase their awareness of the issue and engage them to identify where they can uniquely contribute to the shutting down of OSAIC. And lastly, but not the least, we provide the opportunity for children to meaningfully participate in addressing this compelling issue of OSAIC that is truly affecting them. In fact, the children of Cagayan de Oro City, for example, have come up there with their own child-led campaign against OSAIC, and they call it OSAIC Warriors PDO.
Right. Well, the world is learning to live with the COVID-19 pandemic, but you cannot immediately erase the trauma of children who were abused during the height of the lockdowns. Now tell us about mental health recovery efforts for the victims.
for the mental health recoveries of the victim, there are other actors within our network who provide for that. But we still need to address the issue of, there are a lot of cases that still aren't unreported because there are still gaps in the law. But we are happy now that there is a new law that will address it. It will provide the government and the law enforcement a unique tool to go after the perpetrators, and that's what we are looking forward to once the implementing rules and regulations are already in place.
Well, how is the government working to punish perpetrators who often are from other countries? Are you seeing progress in this front?
One progress is the law, because that particular the new anti-OSAIC law actually will for example it will address the issue of establishing a local database and monitoring system for OSAIC reports that includes sex and age disaggregated data linked to an international database such as we call it International Child Sexual Exploitation Image and Video Database managed by the Interpol. There is a certain provision in the law that will address the gaps before, because before we rely heavily on the cyber tips abroad, we don't have that particular capacity. But that's one thing that this particular law will hopefully address and come up with stricter policies and procedures on how we're going to able to go after the perpetrators even if they are not within our territories.
Right. Now, finally, how can ordinary citizens, like the parents and our audience out there, also contribute to the fight against online exploitation of children?
They can contribute is, first they need to know the issue. We need to learn about the issue, engage in the discussions, and also if you notice in our social media, the children, we actually train to be advocates in the fight against OSEC. They tell the parents and the children on how to report incidences if they come to know about a particular case. We also told them to wherever a particular child they learn to be victims of those acts, is to help them connect with enforcers or local law enforcers, and so that they can get help. So that's one thing, and we also need to increase the public discourse on this issue, because the more people that will know about the issue, we will have more champions and allies in the fight against OSAIC.
Clearly, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done. Good luck to you, and thank you for your time this evening, Allan Nuñez of ChildFund PH.